Then on Saturday, March 30th, the sun is going to move into the gate 21 and the earth is going to move into the gate 48. So I know this very well because this is my Incarnation Cross. And here we've got one gate that's in the logic circuit, which is where we were in the last transit, right? The gate 48 is in the logic circuit and it's in the spleen center. And then the gate 21 is in the tribal circuit and it's on the will center. So in traditional human design, it's called the treasurer. And in quantum human design, it's known as self-management or self-regulation. And it is, like I said, it's on the will center and it is in the tribal circuit. So it does have to do with our relationships with other people. It's in the commerce aspect of the tribal circuit. So it does have to do with money and resources. Everything on the will center is going to have to do with resources and value. And so the 21, traditionally with the treasurer, right, is the one who's making sure that the money is in the right place, it's going to the right place, things are coming in and going out and all of that. It's also an energy for like project management. I know when it was first introduced to me, I learned about it as kind of like the CEO gate, the one who's kind of in charge and project managing. And then in quantum human design, it's been renamed, like I said, self-regulation or self-management. My understanding from speaking with Karen Curry Parker, who created quantum human design, that she called this self-management or self-regulation because the regulation of resources always starts with the self, which makes sense, right? But to me, it's a little bit of an odd naming because it is in the tribal circuit. And so the tribal circuit, and particularly here, which it's known as part of the channel of the money line, actually is what it's called, the 4521 in traditional human design, the money line. And so it has to do with exchange and commerce and things like that. So for me, in my book, I actually have renamed it Stewardship. The reason I did that is, for one thing, we need to have stewardship in the chart somewhere. And I was kind of like, where is stewardship going to be? And I realized that if we go back in time, right, and we're looking at where did this treasurer come from? And its mate is the 45, which is the sovereign gate, right? It's the sovereign gate. So what is supporting the sovereign? Well, stewardship. Because if you think about a castle or you think about a manor, there's a steward. There's somebody who's in charge of that domain. And they are doing that with the sovereign. In that case, it could have been somebody from the aristocracy. It could have been a duke or a duchess, or it could have been royalty, some part of the royal family. But whatever it was, there was somebody who was kind of in charge of the resources and making sure, like the treasurer, where they were going to go. But in a more traditional, more feudal environment, it may not have so much to actually do with money. It may have to do with more with labor and other kinds of resources. So really stewarding, the flocks of sheep or the cattle or the geese and the chickens. And stewarding the well-being of the manor, the homestead, the place where everyone is residing, and making sure that everything is happening the way that it should, and the resources are going where they should. And so this feels really accurate to me in terms of a tribal energy. And for us in our modern day, stewardship is about our ability. Yes, definitely to take care of ourselves first. It's the proverbial put on the oxygen mask on yourself before you do on other people, and that's where self-regulation can come in. But in addition to that, it's about how are we taking care of the tribe and how are we taking care of the living world? Because stewardship always is going to involve other people. It's always going to involve, a physical domain, and it's going to involve things like animals, right? And also the labor of individual people. And so the steward is the one who is looking out for all of those things. So as we're moving into and looking at creating this new world, world that we are so desiring and we so need as, the more traditional things are breaking down, is taking on the mantle of stewardship, recognizing that we have a responsibility, and in indigenous traditions is more often known as an obligation for us to really be taking care of the living world. Human beings have had such a huge, profound, and often detrimental impact on the living world that we have to step up and expand our ability to provide and to give to the living world, and not expect it just to go on, forever, no matter what we do to it, and also not necessarily to be able to regenerate on it under its own force. It may need more help than that. So that is what stewardship is all about. So the foundation for that is going to be the earth lighting up the gate 48. So the gate 48 is on the spleen center and it's in the logic circuit. And in traditional human design, it's known as depth or the well, which is the I Ching name for it, or wisdom. And wisdom comes from life experience. It does come from research and learning, and the 48 is really, really good for research. I know that the 48 helped me tremendously. For example, getting through graduate school, becoming a professor, writing my first book, writing all the articles I wrote as a professor, and then writing the book I just wrote, and then also just all the research I've done over the last 25 years since I left the academy, because I'm always a lifelong learner. I'm always diving into what's new for me to learn. So that 48, I obviously didn't know about it back when I was in graduate school or as a professor, but I know it was supporting me. So this is a beautiful, beautiful energy for knowledge and for turning knowledge into wisdom through life experience. So that's our foundation. And then we've got our stewardship that is on top of that. And we're going to really rest our stewardship and knowing what it is we need to do, both from the information that we take in, the research that we take in, whether that's that we take in from other people, or if we're just observing what's happening in the living world, which is, of course, what scientists do, right? This is all science starts with the living world to begin with. And then that informs us in terms of our stewardship. How do we actually want to be being stewards of our world? And we do that, through life experience and through observation and from learning and from research and all of that. So this is a really beautiful combination to have here at the end of our March transit report.